So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. As usual, in this live session we'll be discussing Indian Express newspaper. This is a daily program on weekdays. So from Monday to Friday we'll be discussing Indian Express, and in case of Saturday and Sunday what we will do is we are trying to take up the important articles on Monday. So stay tuned with us. So let's start with the today's discussion. We'll start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, and then we'll move forward with the then we'll be moving forward with the next session, that is your know our constitution. We have discussed the fundamental rights, then we were discussing DPSPs. So today we will be discussing the DPSPs based on the liberal and intellectual ideologies. Okay, so we'll discuss that, and then we'll be moving forward with the 3 or 4 important articles. That is, one is related to India-Poland relations. You know that recently on 21st of August there will be this visit of our Prime Minister to Poland, and on the way back he will be going to Ukraine as well. So considering the kind of visit it is, you can say that in last some 4 decades this will be the first time such you can say visit will happen. So we'll talk about that. We will see what kind of relation India has with Poland and what kind of stakes we have in Poland. Okay, then moving further, expansion of Ayushman Bharat. You know that there is this Ayushman Bharat Yojana, which is a kind of, you can say, a health insurance scheme of you can say central government. So basically we'll be discussing the expansion of, or there is this idea of expansion which has been put forward by the government. So we'll be talking about that, and we will see what are the areas wherein we are looking for the expansion. Then moving further, who are rotten tail kids? Okay, now in China there is this new phenomena or new term which has been in, you can say, public domain or in the discussion. So we'll be talking about rotten tail kids. Okay, then with that we'll be moving to the next part, that is basically related to certain other news articles, and there will be a for your own read one article, and in the end there will be a practice question. Okay, looking at the front page here, you can see government cites social justice to cancel lateral entry ad. 6 years ago it structured scheme to avoid reservation. Okay, 2018 was the time when the lateral entry was formally introduced. Okay, we have talked about what is lateral entry etc. like 3 or 4 days back, so we will not go into details of that. But the thing is, at that particular point of time we have discussed that 45 vacancies were there, and for that UPSC has come up with a notification. Okay, but now because of certain issues, or you can say certain reasons which has been cited by the government, that is social justice, because obviously the question related to reservation has been there, that whether these you can say vacancies will be fulfilled and reservation will be given to the SC, ST and OBCs or not. Okay, on the basis of that, ultimately central government has taken back their advertisement, and they have cited that social justice as a you can say reason for taking it back. Other than that, also if we look at the politics, domestic politics, so you know that right now the coalition government is there, and some of the allies in the coalition government were not in favor of this particularly lateral entry. Okay, so that is why they have taken it back. So we have discussed lateral entry, so we will not be going into that particular article as of now. Okay, then moving further here, PM in Warsaw for talks, will leave today for vote on Kyiv. Okay, so basically right now PM is in you can say Poland, and then he will be leaving for Ukraine. So we'll be taking up this article. We'll be discussing the India-Poland relations over here. Then moving further, this article, Goel blames e-tailers for predatory pricing, warned against the social disruption threat. Okay, so we will talk about this article as well. This article will be related to, you can say, the Indian economy, and then we'll be talking about what is predatory pricing etc., what kind of you can say e-commerce we are seeing nowadays. So that would be the discussion for today. Now coming to the practice question, which of the following article under DPSP talks about organizing village panchayats? Okay, now there is a hint which is given in this particular question, that is they are talking about DPSPs. So we know that article 32 is fundamental right. Okay, article 243Z, this is not part of DPSP. Okay, then coming to these two articles, these are part of DPSPs. Now you can eliminate C and D, A and B are there, so one of which is answer. When we talk about article 44, that is very prominent, and that is related to uniform civil code. Okay, so option B would be your right answer, that is article 40. Other than that also we have discussed it yesterday. Now moving to the first know our constitution section. As I told you that we will be discussing the directive principle based on the liberal and intellectual ideologies. So here you can see directives based on the liberal and intellectual principle. Okay. Now coming to the article 44. When we talk about this liberal and intellectual principle, that means that there is some kind of rationality which is attached to it. Okay. Now it is not to say that the Gandhian principle or the socialist principle does not have rationality, but when we look at the Gandhian and the socialist principles, they have some kind of element of idealism which is there. Okay. They are talking about, you can say, forward movement of the society. Now coming to the liberal and intellectual principles, here you can see article 44, the state shall endeavor to secure for citizens a uniform civil code through the territory of India. Okay. So that was the directive which is given by the constitution framers in the constitution with respect to the states. Okay. So UCC is one of them. Second is article 45, to provide early childhood care and education for all the children until they complete the age of 6 years. Okay, so this was your second article, which is related to, you can say, later it was actually when we talk about the early childhood care and education. Now you know that the national education policy is also on the line of this particular article. We are trying to actually enforce these articles in a particular way. Okay. Now when we talk about article 44, you know that there are discussions being going on with respect to the UCC to bring that into the mainstream. Then moving further, article 48, to organize agriculture and the animal husbandry on the modern and the scientific lines. Okay. Here you can see we have to organize agriculture and animal on the modern scientific lines. Okay. So that was one thing which we have discussed under the liberal and intellectual principles. But when we talk about the Gandhian ideology or Gandhian DPSPs, in that also we have talked about the, you can say, cows, you can say other cattle, etc. So that was there. Now we have put it under the liberal and intellectual because this is talking about the on the scientific and modern lines. Okay. Moving further, article 48A, now since there is a suffix which is added, that means that it was added later, to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and the wildlife of country. Okay. So that is, you can say, talk about environment and the ecological protection they are talking about. Okay. Talking about the amendments in the DPSPs, there are certain amendments which has happened. So after, once we are going through these articles, one day we will be discussing about the amendments as well. Okay. Then moving further, article 49, the state shall protect every monument or place of artistic and the historic interest. Okay. So that is another thing. Now article 50, if we talk about, the state shall take steps to separate judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. Okay. So that is talking about the separation of judiciary from the executive. Then article 51, it declares that to establish international peace and security, the state shall endeavor to maintain just and honorable relation with the nations, foster respect for the international law and treaty obligations, encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration. Okay. So till here we have the DPSP, article 51. From article 36 to 51 we have DPSPs, and then 51A will be talking about the duties, fundamental duties. Okay. So that is about the directive principles. We have discussed all the directive principles. In the next session, what we will do is we'll try to go through the, you know, important amendments which has happened in the directive principle, and after that we will be going to the fundamental duties. Okay. Now moving further and starting with the first article of the day, that is related to India-Poland relations. You know that the 21st of August the visit is there, and that visit to Poland by the Prime Minister, that has happened after a long time. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be seeing that on the way back, Prime Minister will be going to Ukraine. You know that Ukraine is a war-torn country as of now. Russia-Ukraine issue is going on, and Ukraine has recently invaded, you can say, western part of Russia as well. Okay, and because of which the, you can say, the extent has increased, or you can say the tensions has increased in that particular area. India has been neutral with respect to Ukraine and Russia, and they have said that the war is not an answer. Dialogue and diplomacy should be the way to find a solution. Okay. Now when we are talking about the Poland is right now important for us, because considering this particular issue going on in this particular area, Poland is supporting Ukraine. Okay. So since we are neutral with respect to that, so having some kind of you can say closer relation with Poland will have a larger say for India in that particular issue. Okay. So that is about the current scenario. Now talking to the overview of this particular visit. So let's see. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on significant two-day visit to Poland starting August 21st, 2024. This marks the first visit by Indian Prime Minister to Poland in over 4 decades. Okay. Following his time in Poland, Modi will travel to Ukraine. So that will also be important for us. His trip comes at a critical moment amid rising geopolitical tensions, and the reflects the broader efforts to strengthen bilateral relations. Okay, so we are, after 40 years, 4 decades, we are visiting there. So obviously we have certain stakes in that particular region, and right now, other than Russia-Ukraine war or the economic interest, we don't see much of them. So that is why we are trying to enhance the partnership over there. We are trying to enhance the bilateral relations. Okay. Now moving further, historical ties, if we look at, since we are talking about the Poland, there were time when Poland and India were close. When we talk about, at the time when some refugees from Poland has come to India as well. Okay, so we'll talk about that. India and Poland established diplomatic relations in 1954. This after independence, 1954, we have gone for the diplomatic relations, establishment of the diplomatic relations, and then we have shared a history of mutual support. And during the World War II, Maharajas of Jamnagar and Kolhapur provided refuge to the Polish refugees, including children. So this is the history I was talking about. This is the time we have established the diplomatic relations with the Poland. But before that also, when we were under British rule, at that point of time when we are talking about the World War II, that is the time of 1946 somewhere. Okay, 39-40 to 46. At that point of time, we have given refuge to the Polish refugees, and this refuge was not given by the Britishers, it was given by the Maharajas of Jamnagar and Kolhapur. Okay, so we had a shared history of support to each other. This historical bond laid a foundation for friendly relations that have continued despite political changes in the Poland. Okay, now the first visit by Indian Prime Minister to Poland since Morarji Desai, that happened in 1979, and after that we are going now. And if we consider the previous visitors, so we can say that Jawaharlal Nehru visited in 1955. In 54 we established the diplomatic relations. In 55 we have gone for the visit. That visit was done by Jawaharlal Nehru, and later on Indira Gandhi in 1967. Okay, so that is the history of India and Poland relations. Now coming to the next part, that is basically talking about the current bilateral relations. Okay, now looking at the current bilateral relations, obviously there are certain you can say areas where you can go for the relations. That is, one is economic, second is people to people or cultural. Okay, other than that we have various areas like science and technology, we have irrigation, etc, etc. These are the areas. But when we talk about the Poland, we will be focusing on the economic and the people to people. Here you can see over the years Poland shifted focus towards the closer ties with the United States after fall of the communism. Okay, so when this fall of communism, when we talk about, this is the time of 1989-90, that is the fall of USSR, if you say. So after that, Poland has looked towards the west, or you can say towards USA, and you know that India is a ally of USA as of now. Okay, and India and Poland have maintained a steady relations. This particular point of time, 89-90s or before that, India had some tense relations with USA, because at that point of time USA was somehow supporting Pakistan also. But since Poland was moving toward USA, till because of that only, or you can say despite that, India and Poland has the, you can say, steady ties. Okay, so that was the thing. Then Poland is now India's largest trading and investment partner in Central and Eastern Europe. If you talk about Central and Eastern Europe, Poland is the largest trading partner, with bilateral trade which has grown from 1.95 billion US dollar in 2013 to 5.72 billion US dollar in 2023. You don't have to remember the data, just know that the trade has actually increased. Okay, moving further, Indian communities living in Poland. Okay, as I told you that we have historical ties, we have people to people connect. So in Poland we have nearly 10,000 to 15,000 Indians which are living over there. So on this particular visit, Prime Minister will be visiting these community as well. Other than that, Prime Minister will be visiting the memorials which are there for the Maharaja of Jamnagar and Kolhapur. So that are the events which are to happen. Moving further, here you will be seeing significant if we talk about the strategic significance of Poland as of now. As I told you, the Russia-Ukraine war is the, you can say, event around which these ties, this particular visit is happening. So here you can say Modi's visit particularly notable given current political geopolitical climate. As Poland supports Ukraine amidst the ongoing conflict with Russia, India's engagement with Poland could play a significant role in balancing its own diplomatic stance. Okay, so basically that is how we are going for, that is why we are going for a closer ties with the, you can say, Poland, because if we engage with Poland, so Poland will have a say, since they are in the neighborhood, and we know that there is this peace process which are going on. So since Poland is basically supporting Ukraine and India is a neutral country, so if we have a say in that with the help of Poland, so that is why we are having this diplomatic ties with Poland right now. This particular visit comes amid of that. While India has maintained a neutral position regarding Russia's action, it emphasizes diplomacy and dialogue for resolving the conflict. Enhancing defense cooperation with Poland, a key NATO member, would also support India's broader strategic interest in the European security. Okay, so that is the thing if we are talking about. Second thing is, Poland is an ally of USA. It is part of NATO as well. So ultimately, we are also right now having an inclination toward USA. So we are trying to maintain good ties with the, you can say, all those countries which are there with the, or you can say, who are allies of USA or who are there in NATO. Okay. Other than that, also in Europe also we are having certain stakes. Okay, when we are talking about the economic stakes or cultural or people to people connect, in that regard also, if we are having a better ties with Poland, that will be helpful for India. Okay, so that is about the strategic significance of India and Poland. So we have talked about the broader history of the India and Poland. Mostly they will not be talking about it, but if there is a certain significant output or the concrete output after this particular visit, there are chances that they might ask you. Otherwise also, if we look at the various countries UPSC has been asking about recently, we have seen that they are asking about the smaller countries as well, like Latin American countries, Central American countries, etc., African countries. So there might be chances that they might ask about the countries from the Eastern and the Central Europe as well. Okay, so that is about India and Poland. We have talked about the historical ties, we have talked about the current bilateral relation and the situation, we have talked about the strategic significance of this. Now moving to the next article, that is related to Ayushman Bharat. Okay, Ayushman Bharat, if we talk about, it is an insurance scheme, or it is the central government's flagship scheme in the health sector. Okay, and in this particular scheme there are nearly 10 crore beneficiaries, and when we talk about the insurance cover, that is basically 5 lakh rupees per year, and that will be given for the secondary as well as tertiary services. Okay, now talking about the Ayushman Bharat, over here you can see a cover of 5 lakh per family per year. 10.74 crore poor and vulnerable families. Again, when I told you that beneficiaries are nearly 10 crores, okay, so these 10 crore families are beneficiaries. When we are talking about individual, on average there will be more than 50 crore people who are being benefited by this particular, you can say, scheme. On average we are taking 5 members per family, but the thing is, there is no cap which is given on the number of you can say members in the family. Okay, on average if you are taking, then we can say that nearly 50 crore people are being benefited from this. But in the terms of the number of families, 10.74 crore poor and vulnerable families are included in that. Okay, and there is no cap on the number of family members. Again, I'm telling you, there is no cap. Okay, the number of family members can be 5, 6, 10, 2, 1. Okay, then states given flexibility to decide on the mode of implementation. Okay, so that is, their benefits will be portable across the country, and around 85% of the rural families and the 60% of the urban families have been identified. Okay, now what is happening is, the current government is trying to expand the benefits of the Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana. Okay, so here you can see doubling the insurance cover under Ayushman Bharat to 10 lakhs. Right now it is you can say 5 lakhs, and we are trying to double it to 10 lakhs and up to 15 lakh for the woman. Okay, so that is an additional advantage which is given to women over here. Now adding another 4 lakh private hospital bed under the scheme, increasing the number of beneficiaries from 55 crore to 100 crores. Okay, so that is the expansion they are planning. They have listed out in a report of group of secretaries on social sector. When we talk about the group of secretary on social sector, so there are 9 ministries which are covered under this particular social sector, and prominent ones are health, Ayush, sport, culture and education, etc. Okay, The Ayushman Bharat Yojana or Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is incumbent government's flagship health insurance scheme, which we have already talked about. This is considered as world's largest. Okay, obviously there are nearly 55 crore beneficiaries which are there, and we are trying to enhance it to 100 crores. So that obviously this is the world's largest, you can say, health insurance scheme which is there. Annual coverage of 5 lakh per family for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization, and approximately 55 crore beneficiaries are there from 12.34 crore families. This was the initial data, and now 12.34 crore families has been included in that, and that belongs from the bottom 40% of the country's population. Okay, so this is about the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, and now we will be talking about the expansions. Here you can see Ayushman Bharat overview we have already seen. This is also known as Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. This is India's flagship health insurance scheme and often cited as the world's largest. We have seen that. Now current coverage if we talk about, so that is 5 lakh per family for secondary and the tertiary health care. Cover approximately 55 crore beneficiaries from 12.34 crore families, representing the 40% of the bottom population. Now these are certain facts which you can use in your mains. Okay, since obviously these are the recent ones because they are given in the newspaper. Other than that also, these are certain things which are prominent, or you can say these are certain facts which you should remember. Okay, so you can go through these facts and you can make a note of that, because you can definitely use that in your mains answer writing. Now proposed enhancements. Now when we are talking about enhancements, so obviously one, you can go for the increase in the coverage. Second, you can go for the increase in the beneficiaries. Okay, third is you can go for the infrastructure enhancement. So here you can see first is increase in the insurance cover, that is from 5 lakh to 10 lakh per family. Okay, coverage goes up to 15 lakh for the woman in specific circumstances and diseases. So that is an important point which is there. Then expansion of the beneficiaries, as I told you, from 55 crore to they are going for the 100 crores. So that is also one important factor over here. Now third is infrastructure. Okay, so here you can see they are adding 4 lakh additional bed in the private hospitals. Right now there are 7.22 lakh and they are adding another 4 lakhs. Okay, now plan to expand number of Jan Aushadhi Kendra from 10,000 to 25,000 by the end of the government's term. So 10,000 to 25,000. When we talk about these Jan Aushadhi Kendras, these are the center which are basically providing you quality medicines at the affordable pricing. Okay, now these medicines are mostly generic medicines which you know that which are having the same quality, but their prices are quite affordable. Okay, so that is about the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana or Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana, which will be a health insurance yojana for when we are talking about India, and this is a all India you can say scheme which is there by the central government, and states are given, you can say, free hand with respect to the way they want to implement it. Okay, so that is about Ayushman Bharat. Now moving further, that is next one, that is related to recently there was this report which has been launched, and over there there is this you can say Pehle India Foundation, and there was this report, net impact of e-commerce on employment and the consumer welfare in India. On this particular event, our minister Piyush Goyal has actually talked about certain things, and he has actually come up, or you can say came hard on the e-commerce platforms, okay, like Amazon, etc. Okay, so here you can say Goyal blames e-tailers for predatory pricing, warns against the social disruption threats. Okay, so that is about this particular thing. Let's talk about it. Now here you can see, taking an aim at the world's biggest e-tailer, that is Amazon, Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on Wednesday expressed concern over the surge in the growth in e-commerce business and could be the result of the predatory pricing may lead to social disruptions. Okay, now he has said that it is adversely impacting the estimated 100 million small retailers across the country. Now it is not that we don't want e-commerce to happen in India. Okay, but the thing is, recently we have seen that there was a growth. When we talk about the industry that is growing at 27% per year. Okay, so you can say that the coverage is, you can say, increasing every 3 to 3.5 years. You can say that is getting doubled. Okay, so the thing over here is that we are concerned that with respect to what is the factor which is actually guiding so fast you can say increase in the coverage of the domestic market. Now the thing is, when we look at the e-commerce, what they can do is they are going for the predatory pricing, that as per the minister over here, that they are offering you the very less or the discounted prices. Predatory price means that initially, at the initial phase of a particular industry, what they are trying to do is they are actually going ahead of the, you can say, market prices. Let's say some article is there and the market price is rupees 100, okay, and for example there is this XYZ, you can say, e-commerce platform, okay, and which is offering you at flat 75% discount, okay. So ultimately you are getting it for 25 rupees, but the market price is 100 rupees. So most of the people will be going for this particular, you can say, e-commerce website, and they will buy from that, because of which the local domestic retailers will have to face a loss, because obviously the market price is 100, no one is going to buy from them, and they are buying from this particular, you can say, e-commerce platforms. Now e-commerce platforms are basically declaring losses every year, but still they are going for such discounted prices, because they are trying to cover the market. Now this is a unhealthy practice which is being done by the e-commerce platform, so that they can capture the market first, and ultimately later on, once they have captured the market, they will go for increase in the prices, okay. So now such incidences are basically called as the predatory pricing, and that is not very healthy, or you can say that is detrimental for the markets, okay. So it will go lead to the social disruptions, because when we talk about in countries like India, there are various retailers, nearly 100 million small retailers are there across the country, and if you are going for such predatory prices, they are ultimately having an impact on these small retailers, and ultimately this is the large amount of people which are surviving on their shops, etc. And since you have gone for the unhealthy practices, that will actually have a negative impact on them, okay. Ultimately they will go for the social disruptions, okay, because economic disruptions will lead to the poverty, etc., and that will have an impact on their life standards, okay. So that is about this. Now moving further, here you will be seeing, it is not for the first time that Minister Piyush Goyal has targeted big e-commerce companies. While there are concerns on the impact these have on the smaller retailers, the reports that the Goyal released point to the job generations in the online retailing. Now the thing is, this particular report which he was supposed to launch over there, in that particular report it is saying that the e-commerce platforms are generating jobs, employment, okay. So that is one factor. When we can see on the one you can say hand, they are generating jobs, on the other hand, when we look at, they are actually going for the predatory pricing, okay. Now here you will be seeing, he said e-commerce is growing at a annual rate of 27%, meaning that e-commerce will double every 3 years, okay. Every 3 years they will be capturing more market. If you make 6,000 crore loss in a year, doesn't that smell like predatory pricing to any of you? What did the loss come on? So basically they are saying that the e-commerce companies are declaring a loss of nearly this amount, that is 6,000 crores. So if you are going in the loss, then why you are selling these price you can say articles at the discounted prices? So that you can say that there is somehow they are trying to go for the predatory prices, so that they can capture the market over here. Now the e-commerce platform legally cannot do business to customer model. Actually when we talk about the e-commerce, they are basically business to business, okay. Means that, let's say Amazon is there and there is a seller. In India there are various sellers which are there, so Amazon can only be working as a platform wherein these seller can come and the customer will be purchasing from Amazon, and Amazon will pass that order to the seller, and the seller will send that product to the customer, okay. Now Amazon himself or itself cannot go for selling their own articles, okay, because since it is a multinational company, they might have their own production companies, and they might have their own brands, so they cannot sell that on this particular platform, but they are doing it anyway. So that is what he has meant over here, that the e-commerce platforms legally cannot do business to consumer, this particular, you can say, B2C kind of business over here. Predatory pricing is a practice generally by a new player in the market of keeping the prices superficially low to undercut competition and gain market share. Now this is the definition of predatory pricing which is given. If you want to note it, so you can note it from here. Best part of reading the newspaper is that they will make sure that they will give you the current data, and along with that they will be talking about the static as well. Okay, so this is how you can say that that is a holistic preparation which is happening over here just by reading a particular, you can say, article. Okay, now moving further here, they have called upon on the open network for digital commerce, ONDC. It has been built to promote open networks for all aspects of the exchanging of goods and services over digital and electronic networks. Now that is what government is planning, that is open network for digital commerce. Okay, so that is there. This is an open source methodology. However, the major e-commerce players including Amazon, Flipkart, Swiggy, Zomato are yet to fully integrate their marketplaces into ONDC networks. Now this is a network or which is trying to have somehow supervisory element over here when we are talking about the e-commerce business. Okay, so that is one concern which has been raised by our minister, that these e-commerce platforms are going for the predatory pricing. So obviously they have to do something about it, okay, in the longer run. Now moving further to the next article, which is related to the taxes. Okay, keep language of the IT notices simple and easy to understand. Then you can say enforcement actions should be a last resort, Sitaraman to the taxman. Okay, so basically recently Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman was on a particular event, that is 165th income tax day. So over there she has actually expressed certain things, so we'll be talking about that. Here you can see income tax officials that enforcement measures should be the last resort. Now if there is some kind of issue with respect to the taxpayers, then enforcement, or you can say any kind of you can say the investigations etc., that should be at the later stage. First you should do is that you send them a notice, give them a time to pay back their taxes. Okay, so that should be done, and the minister has said that the notice, the language of the notice, that should be very simple and easy to understand by the taxpayer himself. Okay, the idea over here is not to make that taxpayer afraid of the authorities. The idea here is to get the wrong and you can say turn into a right thing. Okay, so basically if there is something or some person has missed their tax payments, so you can simply send a notice. That notice should be easy to understand so that people do not fear from it, they actually understand the issue and they can go for the payment of the taxes. Okay, so that was the idea over here. And there should not be any action against the taxpayer that is disproportionate to the issue concerned. Okay, so that is very simple to understand. It was said on the 165th income tax day. She said that the harassment of the taxpayer should be avoided over here. Okay, now keep the language of IT notices simple and easy to understand so that taxpayer have a clear understanding of the matter. Here you can see income tax notices should not trigger a sense of fear among the taxpayers. The aim is to make the tax code more concise, lucid and easy to understand, and for that also they have actually come up with the committees and they will be looking into the, you can say, tax laws and try to make it more simpler. Okay, now on two pillars tax packages. Okay, now if you understand that there are various country multinational countries companies are there which are working in India. Okay, and now the dilemma is where should they pay tax, where they are registered or where they are going for the sales. Okay, so for that you have this particular two pillar tax package. Pillar 1 and pillar 2 of the tax package are part of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, that is OECD global rules. Okay, now pillar 1 is focused on the reallocation of a portion of consolidated profit of multinational enterprises to the jurisdiction where sales are arising. So pillar 1 will be dealing with the jurisdiction with respect to where sales are happening. Okay, so that is one thing. Pillar 2 introduced global minimum effective tax rate of 15% for the MNEs. Okay, so that is global minimum, that this much you have to pay. Okay, so there are two pillars. One is related to the sales. If you are going for the payment of tax where sales are happening, that is concerning with the pillar 1, and second is that is your pillar 2, that is you have to pay minimum 15% to that particular place where you have operations. Okay, now Third thing is faceless IT assessment. When we are talking about the taxes, so we have this faceless IT assessment. Now they are trying to introduce that into GST as well. Okay, the new tax regime has made the system easy and transparent. And when we are talking about the tax regime, you know that we have new tax regime, we have old tax regime, and the choice has been given to the taxpayer, which under which they want to pay the tax. Okay, now 72% of the individuals has chosen the new regimes. Okay, and on the part of the refunds, she has said that we are trying to ensure that refunds are done at a very sooner pace, okay, than the later one. Okay, so that is about this particular event, wherein she has talked about certain reforms which can be happening in the tax regimes. Okay, here you can see the task of reviewing the Income Tax Act 1961 will be completed in the given time frame of 6 months. In the budget, they have actually announced that they will be going for the review of Income Tax Act 1961. So that is there, which she has discussed. Now moving further, world page, if we talk about, we have in the start, we have discussed a term that is basically rotten tail kids. Okay, so here when we talk about China, the population is increasing, one thing. Second thing is, unemployment is also increasing. Okay, because of the issues, every market goes through a saturation period, and that is there. When we talk about the China right now, they are not creating jobs. Okay, second thing is, since population is more, they are going for the more and more you can say production of the graduates. Okay, so the production is not the right word if you see, but you can say there are various you can say youth which are coming out of colleges, but they are not finding any jobs. Second thing is, if they are going for the masters or further studies, even after doing the masters, they will be getting a job which is underpaid. Okay, so what has happened in China is that there are certain students which has actually left the homes, and they have came back to home, and they are surviving on the pensions which their parents are receiving. Okay, so such kids are called as rotten tail kids. Okay, so now coming to the article over here, you can see rising unemployment in China is pushing millions of the college graduates into a tough bargain, with some forced to accept low paying work and even subsist on their parents, you can say, pensions. Okay, and this has created a new class of working class people, that is basically rotten tail kids. Okay, now parallel to the catching words, that is rotten tail buildings. Earlier there was this word which was there, that is rotten tail buildings. When we talk about China's you can say real estate sector also, there was various buildings whose work has started but that could not finish. So these buildings were called rotten tail buildings, and on the parallel to that, we have come up with the word that is rotten tail kids. Okay, now moving further, why is that they are not creating jobs? First thing is, there is a saturation in the demand, one thing. Second thing is, after COVID, there were some disruptions which they could not actually overcome till now. Okay, so that is there. Jobless rate right now is 20% over there, so that is very high. Coming to the next over, even those with postgraduate degrees haven't been spared, and these people are also saying that if they have actually, after graduation, if they have worked for some places for like 2 or 3 years, and then whatever salary they have gotten at that point of time, even lesser than they are getting after the masters. Okay, so that is there. Their operations are limited. Either they cut their hopes for top paying jobs, or find any job to make ends meet, and some have turned into crime. Okay, so obviously if there is no job, obviously you know that the theft, murders, this will increase. So that is also the case. This is not the first time it is happening in China. In 1999, you can say China dramatically expanded the enrollment capacity of universities in a bid to produce a better educated working class. Okay, so in 1999, what happened is that China has created various seats in the universities so that they can produce graduates over there, so that these you can say skilled class of workforce can be added to the, you can say, workforce of the country. Ultimately, what has happened that after this particular time, that is 2007, they have ample amount of college graduates, but the thing is jobs were not there. Okay, so ultimately, because of the increase in the population and seats were there in the, you can say, universities, so they have actually produced the graduates, but these jobs were not there for and now these are hopes that by 2034 they will be able to, you can say, close the gap, because the thing is, since the fertility rate has, replacement rate has actually been reducing, and because of which recently what will happen, that population will start to come down, and because of which they might actually be able to close the gap with respect to the employment, that is by 2034. So that is something concerning China right now. What is important for us is that what is rotten tail kids, this term has been in the news, so you can remember that. Now moving further, here you can say, for your own read, there is this article, why Malaysia changed tack on the its orangutan diplomacy. Okay, so there was this change in the diplomacy, or you can say change in the policies with respect to orangutans in Malaysia. So you can go through this. I have taken this article because they have asked once this question on orangutans in UPSC. So just give it a read. Okay, so with that, that is all for today's discussion. In the end, there will be a practice question, that is, what is the current annual insurance cover limit under the Ayushman Bharat Yojana? 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh and 10 lakhs. Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you. And if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day.